Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Morning Show with your hosts, Wayne and Gabby.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, real estate investors, and welcome to the Canadian Real Estate Investing Morning Show. Why are you in such a good mood?
I'm not. I'm wondering what's going on with you. You seem very serious.
We've got some news to share today, and I think that
Sorry, you're making me nervous.
I think that
Go ahead.
it's something that a lot of you guys need to hear, and we've been keeping it to ourselves for quite some time, and it's time for us to share what's truly going on. Many people are going to be watching this video. Many people are going to be clicking on this video, and they're going to be disappointed. They're going to be very disappointed because we haven't been sharing this with enough people. And we're going to be getting into that in a little bit. Do you have weather?
No, I don't. What is happening? What are we sharing? Do you want me to get weather? I can get weather. The weather today, our weather girl had a late night. The weather today will be 16 degrees and looks like some rain in Edmonton.
That's not good.
Okay.
That's not good.
Let's look at Vancouver. The weather in Vancouver will be 19 degrees and sunny. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
The weather in Winnipeg will be 17 degrees with a little bit of sun and rain. Do you want me to keep going?
It sounds terrible. It all sounds terrible. This isn't making this any easier. So how many live listeners do we have joining us right now? Is it not? Why are all the live listeners not here?
I don't know, to be honest.
This only works if there's live listeners here.
Okay. Hi, Kirsten. Kirsten's here. Kirsten says, hey, it's a beautiful day.
I don't know. Wait till you hear this. It's pretty bad. So what I've decided to do is share something today with everyone that I think is going to shock a lot of people. But it might serve as a really good lesson to many others, many others, on what not to do in real estate investing, what not to do. And Sharon, good morning. I see you here on the live show. And thank you to everyone that's joined us live here on YouTube for this special announcement. If you want to be the first one to hear these announcements every weekday morning, we broadcast this show live on YouTube at 7 a.m. Mountain Time every weekday morning. Every weekday morning, we come to you live here, and we provide free education and answers to your questions. We provide free coaching to real estate investors across Canada. All you have to do is join us live at 7 a.m. Just look up Wayne Hillier on YouTube, and that's where we broadcast the Canadian Real Estate Investing Morning Show live every morning. You just need to join us at 7 a.m. and you can bring any questions you have about real estate investing, and we will answer them for free. We provide free coaching. It is the only free coaching that's good in Canada. And to be honest with you, I could probably say North America as well. I'm not aware of anyone else. No one else who has done this over 1,200 times every weekday morning for you guys, so that you guys can avoid what I'm about to share with you this morning. You guys can avoid something terrible that can happen in real estate investing. And each and every one of you guys are vulnerable to this. Each and every one of you guys can lose money in real estate investing. You can. Now, I got some terrible news to share with you. The people who have clicked on this thumbnail, the people who have clicked on this link, the people who have stuck it through for the last 5 minutes are going to be very disappointed in us, because no, we have not lost $1 million. I have pranked you. And for those of you guys that are on the live show right now, you're probably thinking, like, what the fuck is he talking about right now? What I have done is I have created a thumbnail and I have created a title that has said that we have lost $1 million on a rental property. But the truth is that we haven't. And that's why you're going to be mad at me. You're going to be mad at me because I just wasted 6 minutes of your time. Now, some of you guys are going to take this opportunity to click off of this video right now. But I encourage you to hold on just one more minute, because what I'm actually going to do for you today is I'm going to spend the next 55 minutes teaching you exactly how not to lose $1 million, how not to lose any money in real estate investing. And you're going to notice that my tone is going to change here a little bit because I've been talking very slow and very scary. But the truth is that today, on today's episode, I'm going to explain to you why we did not lose $1 million and why we've never lost money on a rental property before, and why we will never lose money on a rental property because of the systems that we have created, the fundamentals that we follow and teach, and the cash flow rules that we put in place to ensure that we will never lose money on a rental property. How could someone fucking possibly say that you could never lose money on a rental property? You can't say that. That's impossible. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I never have and I never will. And if you listen to this show every single day, every single fucking day, if you've been doing it for the last 1,200 episodes, you'll understand exactly why. We don't fuck around. We put solid systems in place, and we're going to share those systems with you today so that you could be another investor who succeeds in actually building a rental portfolio, as opposed to just buying a bunch of properties, making it look really fucking cool on Instagram, and then eventually failing because you didn't build it right and you didn't buy the right properties. We're going to teach you how to not be that person today. So if you came to this episode because you saw that Wayne and Gabby lost $1 million and you're like, ha 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 ha, finally. If that's the only reason that you came here, then yes, I would encourage you to click off of this video and go back to your day spreading hate and hateful thoughts on people. But if you're curious as to why we didn't and why we don't and why we will continue not to, I encourage you to listen to this episode because it's going to be fucking awesome.
You are so crazy. You have to tell me when you're going to do something like that. I was so nervous as to what was going on. What is this?
Here are your podcast notes for the day. Because Gabby doesn't know anything about what we're going to be talking about today.
You totally freaked me out.
Can you see what the first line says there?
Did you see me like nervous laughing? I was like, what's happening? What's going on?
She thought that we lost $1 million.
Well, I didn't, because I obviously didn't see a thumbnail or have any sort of indication as to what was about to happen. But
what does the first line on that paper say? Say it like you mean it.
How do you say it like you mean it?
Scene.
I just lost $1 million on this property.
That's a clip right there. I'm gonna use that clip, and that's the thumbnail. That's the thumbnail right there. That's what I'm looking for. Yes, I got it. I got a thumbnail. Fuck yeah. You guys, you are literally watching all of this unfold in real time. Thanks for joining us live. Thanks so much for joining us live on YouTube.
I wasn't sure if the people were going to show up. It was just like Kirsten for a little bit there.
Yeah, there was nobody. I'm like, this isn't going to work if nobody's here. This is just us. I'm playing a practical joke, and no one's even here to.
Kirsten says, Gab, could you imagine if that's how you found out you lost money?
Yeah.
Live on YouTube.
Sweetheart, I just want to let you know that I invested in short-term rentals in a cottage resort. Honey, how could you? How could you?
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
I do have a little bit of tears. My eyes are burning from lack of sleep, but I'm here and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's because you spent the whole night cleaning up vomit. Not mine. Not mine.
Dog vomit.
Dog vomit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we got going on in the live chat here? Like, how many people? Like, did anybody these guys? Did I drag that out long enough that most of these people know what's going on the live show today?
I hope so. I hope so.
No, I'm just like, do you not paying attention? Like, I see Kyla's here. Did Kyla catch it?
Kyla caught it. Charn caught it for sure. Manny caught it. I don't know about Dennis and Stuart and maybe who else came in a little bit later, but Kyla says they are great systems. Those systems you're going to talk about. Kyla knows. She knows.
Kyla knows, yeah.
Yeah, she knows.
What about our resident vegetarian?
Hi, Dennis.
Good morning, Dennis.
Dennis says good morning. I don't know how much of that he caught, so Dennis might be like, what the heck is going on right now?
Yeah. Dennis is thinking to himself, would you stop dangling the carrot and just tell us? That's a really bad vegetarian joke.
Yeah. Kyla says it wasn't coming up on my YouTube. Always miss the first 3 or so minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
It is a little bit delayed.
Okay.
It's okay. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. And
Well, anyways, so yes, we have never actually lost money on a rental property ever.
Mm-hmm.
And even early on, because we didn't understand everything that we teach and everything that we know today on day one.
Yeah.
We didn't. And to be honest with you, the mentors that we had early on, the people that we were following early on, didn't teach what we teach. And to be frank, they didn't know what we know. And I still don't think that they know what we know. Because I still watch them continue to do the same stuff that they were doing before and continue to keep making the same mistakes. And they are one storm or wave away from being wiped out, if they are indeed actually still investing in real estate. Most of them aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing too, is that, you know, throughout the whole duration of us and our investing career, so many people have come and gone. So many people have gone out to sea, you know, and capsized. And very few actually ever really reach their destination or stay afloat. I can't name names on this podcast because, well, it's live, 1, 2, it's recorded, and it could be used against me. But the truth is that throughout our time, people that you think right now are like, oh my God, this person's so smart. I can assure you that within a few years, they'll be gone. And that's not me being a negative Nancy. The truth is that just we've seen it happen so many times before. It's not just me, Gabby. Please back me up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a continuous cycle, and you know, we've been around for a long time, and the amount of like 3 to 5 year cycles that just keep repeating themselves is wild. And you know, somebody who was around even just like let's say 10 years ago, somebody who was like big making moves 10 years ago, if they were to come back today, they wouldn't recognize 99% of the people that are in this community.
Yeah.
Be like, who are all these people? Even people from 5 years ago that were doing big things come back, but now 5 years later would be like, where'd everybody go? Who are all these people?
And so I hope that's not just a negative thing. It's also just something for perspective for you guys, is that 99% of people who come into this community and learn how to invest in real estate either don't do it or fuck up. 99%. There are so few people who actually come in here and actually succeed. This industry is fucked. And it explains a lot of why we see so many big swings in real estate. We were talking about yesterday, like, we'll just see all these big swings, or like the prices will be really good and then they'll be really down, and then just all these big waves that'll happen in the real estate and the rental market is because investors will come in and make a big wave and then they'll exit. And then it's constantly, we're just like trying to react and pivot because of these just over and over and over and over again. And considering how real estate investors make up such a huge portion of the housing supply for people to live in, for tenants to live in. And the investors, the owners, are fucking it up so bad. Just think about how much of an effect that can have on housing, on rental housing.
Mm-hmm.
Just everybody who is in control of rental housing, because it's not regulated.
Yeah.
Everyone who's in control of rental housing is just fucking winging it.
Yeah.
I would say arguably next to water and food, it's in the top 3 of the most important necessities in Canada. And they're all just winging it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. And it's so accurate too, though, and you don't realize it until you're in the community and you see what's happening, and you talk to also like the tenants and the experiences that they've been through. And it's 100% accurate. I'd say that, like, what percentage? I mean, it's hard to know a percentage, but like when you look at how many experienced investors there are, landlords there are with actual systems in place who really understand the landlord and tenant laws and who are following it to a T, compared to everybody else who either got in by accident or thought like, oh, I should own land, I'm going to become a landlord, and then don't know what they're doing. It is a very small percentage of sophisticated landlords compared to everybody else who is just being reactive in everything they do. They got a copy of a lease. They found somebody that said they can pay rent. Here's 2 months in advance. And they signed it. And now something's happened. They're like, what do I do? Then something else happens. What do I do? And something else happens. What do I do?
I think that's, very much in the trenches on a micro level, you know what I mean? Just like people not understanding landlord and tenant laws and not building that out right. But, I find that when I see people moving around and making moves in our industry, in our community, some of the most some of the most intellectual people are the ones that, like, I think that they try and be more smart than they are. You know what I mean? I feel like they're trying to prove something. So they'll be the type of people that will dive deep into the macroeconomics, and they'll talk, about money supply and things like that. And they'll talk about how gold is, outperforming right now. So therefore I need to be able to put this. And, I just, I read a really, really decent article in the Globe and Mail recently, and it was explaining that it's actually more beneficial to not be profitable in your rental business. In fact, I like to put all my additional cash flow over here and spend it all, so therefore I can show a lot less on my tax returns, because if I pay less in taxes, that makes a lot more sense. It's just like these people that are like, it seems logical to them. You know what I mean? Because they read it in a blog on Reddit or something like that, and they think that they're smart. But when I hear things like that, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? That right there is rule number 1 for us in order to stay afloat in this business. So I see people that are literally like burning their life rafts, you know what I mean, as they set sail. They're like, we're not going to need these, because if I have these life rafts, I'm kind of manifesting that I'm going to hit an iceberg. I'm kind of manifesting I'm going to be walking into a storm. So I'd rather burn them to prove to everybody that I'm not going to use them. That's the logic that I see. That's my perspective. I'm like, you are stupid.
Yeah.
Absolutely stupid. Because you need those life rafts. You need to make sure that you set sail and you have backup plans. Because if you don't, I promise you cannot predict or control the weather. Nobody can predict or control the weather. The weather's just going to happen, and it's going to hit you, and you need to be prepared for it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to talk about some of the systems that we put in place in our business and the fundamentals that we teach, which helps us make sure that we reach our destination, which helps us make sure that we are actually profitable in our real estate business, which has led us to where we are, which has got us to where we are today, with all of the wealth that we built and continue to keep building and teaching so many Canadian investors across Canada. We're going to share all of those with you today. Please, for the love of God, if you made it this far into 20 minutes, you're already pot committed. Listen to the whole fucking episode. If you came here because you thought Wayne finally failed, and this is like, now they're doing the intermission, and this is my chance I'm just gonna sneak out during the intermission. I'm gonna tell them I'm going to the washroom, but I'm not coming back. Please, for the love of God, just hear us out, because so many people love to hate on our our headline stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, it's easy. So I'll if I did a post today that said something along the lines of like, I've never lost money in real estate, somebody will automatically just like, that's not fucking, but they're not willing to be curious and listen.
Yeah. Or even read.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And a lot of this takes a lot of time to explain why. And I completely understand. If someone came up to me and said they'd never lost money in real estate, I'd be like, how long have you been doing it? And show me your systems. I will ask that question because I'd like to know. You know what I mean? But most people will just automatically, it's not fucking possible, right? So be curious. Give me the opportunity to explain to you why, and you might actually fucking learn something today. And maybe, just maybe, we can turn that frown upside down and maybe even turn your portfolio around while we're at it too. I have nothing to gain from this. You're the only one that has something to gain from this. So listen, please. We'll be right back.
Real estate investors need to treat debt differently than homeowners, and at Kirkland & Brennan Mortgage Group, we understand that. For the last 11 years, we've helped real estate investors plan and build their portfolios. We understand how to help you avoid fees, penalties, getting yourself stuck, and making sure that the deal you're doing today doesn't stop the deal you want to do tomorrow. You can reach out to Keaton, Keaton, at kbmortgages.ca. Put plan on the subject line, and we'll help you build a plan and then realize it for your real estate goals. We also coordinate with the other professionals like your accountant, lawyer, realtor, and we will help you build your portfolio. So reach out. We'll do our best to help. Thanks, guys.
You've got showings, lease signings, suite renos, condo board meetings, credit checks, mortgage financing, and every so often the tenant clogs the sink because they shove macaroni down there. Stop. Breathe. Leave the bookkeeping to Fingo. Fingo is specialized real estate bookkeeping by real estate investors with tailored services for maximum returns. Save time. Enhance your returns. Claim the plumbing repair for that ridiculous macaroni fiasco. Book your free consultation at fingo.com.
Summer. While everyone's getting distracted, this is when the market gets quiet. Not because the opportunities disappear, but because the people do. Vacations, long weekends, these are the distractions I'm talking about. And that's exactly when serious investors make their moves. At Calvin Realty, this is one of our favorite windows. Less competition, more flexibility, and sellers who are actually open to negotiating. While everyone else is stepping away, we're stepping in. If you're looking to buy right, not just buy fast, this is your edge. Calvin Realty. Opportunity doesn't take time off.
I see somebody in the chat here says, can't we just blame the boomers for everything? Come on, y'all. 5 minutes of hate for the boomers. How about I spend 5 minutes of love for the boomers? What you don't understand about the boomers is that, oh, we're glitching real fast. I was about to make a really good point. There we go. We're back. Okay. What you don't understand about the boomers is that the boomers, which is going to make up a lot of your parents and grandparents, the boomers are getting quite old and they're going to be passing away soon.
Oof. That's dark.
It's the truth, right? You want to hate on the boomers? Just maybe we should focus on what's going good for the boomers right now is that, okay, maybe that was a little dark and maybe it was a little bit morbid. Can you verify that YouTube is still good? We're getting a little bit of lagging here on YouTube on the live show.
Yeah, it looks like it was a little glitchy, but it seems to be back.
Okay, I hope that everything is good now. Maybe that whole part just completely glitched out, and then it doesn't say it because I'll probably cut it. But here's what's going to happen here. You probably heard this one a million fucking times before. We are in the greatest wealth transfer in history. Mm-hmm. That is kind of valid and true. I hate it that it's used as such a fucking gimmick. But the truth is that as the boomers pass on, all of that real estate wealth that they built up over the decades, all of that equity that they're sitting on, which, by the way, the boomers are arguably the most stubborn fuckers out of everybody. There's very few and rare entrepreneurs in the boomer generation. Think about all
boomers
the...
were very brick and mortar.
Brick and mortar. I pay off my house. I pay my debts. And I live within
ladder.
my means. Mm-hmm. I grow rhubarb. And if that's all I got, then my CPP will support my property taxes and my ginger ale, and I will live off rhubarb if I need to. That's the boomers, right? They do what they got to do. They make a stew, right? And then they eat that stew for a week, right? Rhubarb stew. That's all we got, hon. Potatoes and rhubarb. That's all we got. Anyways, the boomers, what I'm getting at, have a ridiculous amount of equity that they're sitting on because they never refinanced their house to buy another rental property. They never got a second more. I mean, except for maybe the boat. Some of the more irresponsible boomers might have refinanced their home and and got a high interest loan and or got a HELOC and bought a boat. But otherwise, they have a lot of equity that they're sitting on, and a lot of that equity is coming your way in the next couple decades, if not this decade. So just think about that. You have a lot of inheritance coming, either to your parents or to you. And I see it as a tremendous opportunity for you to be able to take that and invest it into real estate and, you know, show the last generation that the new generation understands, you know, how to invest properly. Now, if you go about doing it wrong, going to buy the wrong properties and you don't listen to what we say today, there's a very good possibility that your boomer grandparents and parents are going to be cursing you from the grave. Because if you go and fuck it all up and lose it, all you did was just prove them right.
You don't want to be haunted.
You do not want to be haunted. Those people saw war. Those people, those are tough motherfuckers. I'm going to get back to this show. I'm going to get back onto the topic here. There's a couple things that are very, very important when it comes to making sure that you don't lose money in real estate. And the number one, which I'm going to go back to that comment that I made about the person that says that I would prefer not to be profitable. I would prefer not to have any cash flow because then I don't have to pay any taxes.
Pay taxes, yeah.
Cash flow, I know this is cliche, but I'm going to explain why and how. Cash flow is so important for sustainability.
Yeah.
It is so important.
Cash flow is, it's like, I like to think of it as a quite literally like a life raft. Like you are on a ship, you're in the ocean. Sometimes it's smooth sailing and it just sits there hooked on the little hook on, you know, beside the edge. I don't know boat terminology, so pardon me. But, you know, every once in a while you're going to hit some storms, right? And it is the literal life raft when somebody goes over to say, oh, no, but we got cash flow. Here you go. We're going to reel you back in. And yeah, you're safe. Okay, calm sailing now again. Because the storms come, well, they're coming more and more frequently. In the last, I don't know, 5-6 years. Like, how many times have we been hit with these, like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, not expecting that. We're in the
middle of trade wars right now, but this is going to turn into a real war here pretty soon. I don't know if they're not calling it a war. I think they're calling it a military exercise. But this is going to turn into a global affair here pretty soon, guys. And it's going to have which is going to create a ripple, which is going to create waves. More waves for you and your business, and you have to be fucking prepared. And nobody can prepare for something like that other than there's nothing you can do more to the boat. You can't control the weather. You can't control the waves. All that you can do is build a strong ship to weather the storm. That's all you can do.
With life rafts on it.
That's it. That's all that you can do.
Yeah.
Backup generators, backup batteries, anything you can possibly do to make sure that you don't sink. And by the way, all of this fear and uncertainty is no reason to not start, because that's what will end up happening. We'll start scaring people on all the terrible things that can happen, and they're just like, well, maybe I'll just wait. Mm-hmm. There is no waiting. There's always another wave coming. It's constantly just crashing into your fucking boat over and over and over. It is inevitable. And the fear and uncertainty is no reason to not start, because I promise you, just staying on land will not get you anywhere either. If you stay on this course with this shitty ass fucking affordability that we have, just going to work every day and paying your bills, hoping for that CPP in the future, and maybe I'll even have enough money to save up for my own house, pay it all off, and live off potatoes and rhubarb stew in the future. If you're fucking lucky.
Yeah. Because
I tell you, the boomers had the numbers, the scenario that the boomers had was a lot better than yours. It's not looking good for the future. You have to go against the grain. You have to search for new land. You have to set course at sea. Like, you have to. Otherwise, what's going to happen, and I shared this on a podcast recently a few weeks ago, is that if you're in middle class right now, you're going to be in lower middle class by the time you retire, if not lower class. We are heading in that direction, right? So, if you're going to be building a portfolio, if you're going to be, and I use shipping and boating terms, even though I get seasick, so I don't spend any time on a boat. You can't, Gabby hates it because she always wants to go do fun things.
I want to go do something on the water. Nope.
I want to go see the dolphins. Sorry, I can't.
Wayne's just like, bleh.
Yeah, It is what it is. Cash flow is really super important. Now, everyone's going to want to know how much cash flow. That's a $1 million question right there. Is that, yeah, sure, you say cash flow. Yeah, my property's got cash flow. But I'll look at their portfolio and be like, it doesn't have enough cash flow. Well, it's got $300. Yeah, but your property is $3 million. That's not enough. You need a reasonable, sufficient amount of cash flow relative to the value of your property and relative to the expenses for that property. See, you can't just automatically say that $500 a month is good, because $500 a month is a lot for a $90,000 one-bedroom condo. It's a lot. But $500 is not enough for a 30-unit multifamily building. So you have to find a universal formula that you can apply to all different types of properties in all different markets. That's why we developed the 5% rule. We developed a rule that is a universal formula for all types of properties across Canada and North America. You could use it in Italy if you want to. When someone asks me what's a sufficient amount of cash flow, I'm not going to give you a number. I'm going to give you a percentage. So that way you can apply that percentage based on the value of the property, so that you know this property at this value needs this much cash flow. And if you want to learn how to run those numbers and why it's incredibly important, this is not a plug. It's just a cheap book that you can go and buy on Amazon. It's called The 5% Rule. It is a cash flow test for Canadian real estate investors. I used to keep this to myself, and then I shared it with our students. And the only way that you could know how much cash flow you needed was to join our mentorship program. And our mentorship program is 12 months and it costs $15,000. Most people either can't afford it or don't see the value in it. Now, if they, back before we released this book, I think that this right here would have been worth the $15,000 in itself, because this right here teaches you how to make sure that you actually last and that you don't fizzle out in 2, 3, 5, or even 10 years. This right here helps you make sure that you have enough cash flow so when you set course, when you set sail, you actually reach your destination. You're actually profitable. It's a really super fucking simple formula. I made it simple on purpose. Go pick it up on Amazon. It's a 69-page book, I think, something like that. It's really fucking thin. You can probably read this in an hour if you're a fast reader. Yeah. Done. Easy. $20, and now you know the answer.
System number 1, done. Nice.
I feel like I might need that again for a prop, so damn it, now I wish I would have held on to it. The 5% rule ensures that you have enough cash flow from day one. And so many people, what they'll do is they'll be like, oh yeah, but I'll be cash flow positive in year 3. Get the fuck out of here. Cash flow positive in year 3. Oh yeah, but based off of 2% growth in rent every year, historically, I should be cash flow positive. I'm also going to replace all my light bulbs with LED, energy efficient. And when I replace the new high efficiency furnace, it's going to reduce my expenses, and I'll be cash flow positive in year 3. Shut the fuck up. Cash flow on day one. On day one. Nothing is fucking guaranteed. Yeah. Right? But I'll be installing solar panels. Where's my book? Where's my book? Cash flow on day one. You want to make sure you have a sufficient amount of cash flow on day one, because what's going to happen is that if you don't have a sufficient amount of cash flow, there's the potential that you could be forced to sell. And we never, ever, ever want to be forced to sell. Okay? Because when you sell the property, that's when you lose money. So here's what could potentially happen. You buy a property for $500,000 and it goes down in value to $450,000. It goes down 10% in value. And you're like, oh, fuck, I need to sell this property fast because I'm losing money. This isn't like stocks. This isn't your crypto fucking coin that you thought like, oh my God, this is the one. This isn't GameStop, okay? This is a piece of real estate, but it's an asset, but it's also a business. And as long as you can keep that business running, you can ride out this wave, okay? Because when the value comes, like when a wave crashes in and the value drops by 50 grand, You only lose 50 grand when you sell the property. If you don't sell the property, you can wait for the value to go back up again. And if you think that the value is going to stay down and continue to keep going down, I'll just use the word stupid so that I don't offend anybody. That is stupid. That is stupid thinking. Real estate will continue to keep going up in value. I'll give you one out of a million fucking reasons. One, because the cost of building supplies continues to go up. So in order for you to build a new house, the cost to build new houses continues to go up. So therefore, the resale houses will have to follow suit. There's one of a million fucking examples of why real estate will never go down and stay down or continue to go down. There's one. That's all you need. Tell that to your uncle, okay? Save that one. If it goes down, the only time you ever lose money is when you sell the property. So don't sell the property. Now, there's lots of different circumstances where someone might be forced to sell, right? Even if you were forced to sell, even if you were forced to sell it. And I'm going to get into a couple of those examples of why you might be forced to sell it in a little bit. But even if you are, so long as you bought it at a good price, maybe even you were smart about it and you negotiated and got a really good deal on the buy. Let's say instead of it being worth, it was worth $500,000, but you got it for $470,000. Good job. Good job. You saw an opportunity and you got $30,000 off the price, right? So you made $30,000 on the buy. You bought it for $470,000, but it's worth $500,000. Okay. And it kind of floats around $500,000. And after about 5 years, it goes down from $500,000 down to $450,000. But you bought it for $470,000. So how much are you in the hole at that moment? Just based off of my simple math, Gabby. $20,000. You're in the hole $20,000. But what's been happening? Did you just buy that asset and just sit on it and do nothing with it?
No.
Or did you finance it and you've been collecting rent and making mortgage payments and collecting cash flow for the last 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. So you might be in the hole $20,000, but the thing is that you've been renting it out and paying down that financing. And for the last 5 years, you probably paid down about $20,000 or $30,000 on your mortgage, right? Approximately, depending on your interest rate. So over the last 5 years, you've actually taken your loan amount and you've reduced it by about $20,000 or $30,000. Let's say 20. Let's just assume you've had a shitty interest rate. You paid down $20,000 over the last 5 years. So how much are you in the hole?
No.
Nil. You're actually break even. But that's not the only profit that you have. The mortgage pay down, the equity that you built. You've also got all that cash flow you've been collecting. And, there will be some expenses and some vacancies over 5 years, but let's just assume you've got about $10,000 in additional cash flow in the reserve as well. Well, let's say it's $500 a month. Let's say $500 a month over 5 years is $30,000, right?
I don't know.
It is. It's $30,000. 500 times 12 is 6,000 times 5 is 30. You got $30,000 in cash flow, but you paid, you paid for this, you paid for that. And I'm just going to be super conservative. I don't think that you probably spent that much cash flow, but let's just assume you spent $20,000 of that cash flow on just expenses. You still have $10,000 in the bank account as well. That's additional profit. So if the value of the property on year 5, you bought it for $470, it was worth $500. The value of the property went from $500 to $450 at year 5, and you had to sell it. You had to fucking sell it. How much money did you lose?
None. You made $10,000.
None. You made $10,000. Even in a worst case scenario, and you made the worst fucking decisions, you did everything wrong, you still made $10,000. $10,000 on a $100,000 investment because you put 20% down, right? So you made a 10% return over 5 years, even though you fucked it up and you did it all wrong. And it went down 10% in value.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? Like, even if you were forced to sell, you could still make money. See what I mean? Like, it's not that, the circumstances that have to happen, the terrible series of unfortunate events that need to line up for you to lose money is crazy. It's such a That's why for me, it's just like, no, I'm not going to lose money because I build it right. Right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few different situations where you might be forced to sell. Right? And I shared the one example is that like you can no longer support the property. Right? So something was to, let's just say what? Cash flow goes away?
Yeah. Maybe interest rate spikes.
So cash flow goes away. So you had cash flow when you bought it, right? But then interest rates spike. So maybe you're on a 2-year fixed mortgage, or maybe you're on adjustable variable rate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your payments went up because you're on adjustable variable rate because someone told you to go variable adjustable, which means that your payments change when the Bank of Canada changes their rates, right? Which happens. And it spikes. In 2023, interest rates went from about 2% to like 7% within a year.
It's wild.
It was wild. Never happened before. Never. Had you asked me a year prior if that could happen, I would say it could, but it won't.
Yeah.
Because interest rates have never gone up. The Bank of Canada has never raised the overnight lending rate more than 0.25% in a yearly quarter. Ever. So worst case scenario, it'll go up 1% per year. And they would have to consistently do it every single quarter. And then if you run the math and you compare that to fixed, I'd be like, oh yeah, I love variable. Variable makes way more sense historically. And then, wow, I never saw that coming. And yet, even though I was so, well, let's say ignorant, you know what I mean? I said it could happen, but I said it won't. And it did. Did that affect me? No, it didn't. So, cash flow did, on the properties that we had adjustable variable rates, did go bye-bye though. It did. Cash flow went away because the interest rates, they spiked and the payments went up. And a lot of other people, they had renewals coming up. Maybe they renewed their mortgage in like 2018 and then 2023 comes and they went from like a 3.5% interest rate to a 7% interest rate overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whoa, that fucked the mortgage payments up.
Mm-hmm.
And there goes your cash flow. Any little cash flow you had, gonzo, and probably into the red.
Yeah.
And depending on what market you were in, Ontario. Sorry, excuse me. Not a good time.
Yeah.
Not a good time for your payments to go up. Not a good time at all. Because the values were tanking.
Right.
At that time. So people were in a position where they had all these properties and they were relying on all these super low interest rates because they thought it was going to last forever. And they had this super thin margin of cash flow because they thought it was enough and they were making so much money on the appreciation going up. And then as soon as it stopped and as soon as the value started going down, at the exact same time, in from the rear comes the interest rates. And all those properties that they had with little cash flow suddenly overnight went into negative cash flow. And they were forced, and most of these investors didn't have reserve funds. They weren't putting away their cash flow. So that instantly they're having to support thousands of dollars of negative cash flow every month just to pay their bills. And that doesn't include the vacancies, the repairs, the maintenance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a situation where it's like, I need to quickly amputate this.
Stop the bleeding because
I can't take this anymore. This is a real thing that happened just a few years ago. And you're probably hearing a lot of stories about it right now because there were so many people that invested with people like that or was doing that, and they're all gone. They're all gone. All those big names and everybody was hip hip hooray for at the seminars and the conferences, they're all gone. And I keep seeing them like seems like every week there's someone new that's coming back, and they're either, they're talking about how they went bankrupt and talking about how it affected their life and their mental health. Or they're talking about how now they're an AI expert now. You saw my little joke the other day, or I said worst case scenario, you could become an AI expert. Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Because they didn't build it right. So that's something that can happen. Interest rates can spike, but also at the same time, rents can go down as well.
Mm-hmm.
rents can go down. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. It goes like this, right? We overshoot, we undershoot. We overshoot, we undershoot. It's normal. It is what it is. Why are rents going down across Canada? Because the Canadian government said that they were going to fix housing affordability. And I know that you guys don't like the government, the new one or the old one, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Yeah, guess what? Like, it actually worked. They threw $5 billion at this problem, and you guys fixed the problem. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Canadian real estate investors, for building so many more properties, so many more purpose-built rental properties. You solved the rental affordability crisis. And thanks to your hard work, tenants across Canada are now benefiting from lower rents because you built so many.
Bravo.
Great job. Bravo. Thanks, government and developers. You guys are fantastic. My and your, I was going to say something, but tenants across Canada, thank you. You did a good thing. Not so great for your business. Not so great for my business. But it happened, and it is what it is, right? So there's no sense in complaining about it because you were literally the one with the shovel, right? You did it, right? You thought you had a shovel and you were building an infill, but you were actually building your own grave.
Ooh.
You weren't digging the infill, you were digging your own. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. But rents are down, right? Because we did that and people did that, and it is what it is. Like, what are you going to do about it? But if you have enough cash flow, you're okay. But that's something that can happen as well. Rents can go down, right? Whether that be because of oversupply, because we built too much rental properties, or perhaps immigration goes down. They stop the flow of immigration. Perhaps the market that you're in, all those jobs that were proposed got canceled. Maybe that pipeline is not going to actually happen. You bought all those properties in that city because you're this is the next boom town. This is where all the pipelines are being proposed. This is where all the next precious metals and minerals are going to be mined. So I'm going to go and buy that before the road gets built. I'm going to go and get in there early.
There's many reasons why demand can slow down or go away, right? Yeah. And in any situation where demand slows, so are rents.
In 2016, oil prices crashed.
Yeah.
Suddenly, all of our rents went down and all the values of the properties went down in Edmonton and across Alberta.
Tons of people left Alberta
Grand Prairie.
who were here to work and no longer had jobs. They all left, moved back home.
Less people needing rentals, more supply, demand. There's obviously, we're going to start lowering our rents, just basic stuff, right? So there's another thing that can happen. Also, insurance rates. Hey, Calgary.
Oof.
Hey, Calgary. You guys get a lot of rain
flood.
and hail. You guys got a big water problem, Calgary.
Yeah.
Thankfully, our properties in Calgary have never been affected by this, except for the insurance rates. My God, insurance. Actually, across Alberta, the insurance companies have to actually change their rates, not just for the people in Calgary, but also across Alberta because of the fact they needed to make up all the money for all that hail and water damage.
Yeah. You know what else? I received all of our property tax bills for our Calgary properties this past week. Holy jump in property tax. Like, yowza.
Well, was it based off? Well, okay, let's.
Sorry. I just hadn't actually talked to you about that yet, but like I'm talking like over $100 per month increase.
Okay, so I've actually got a note on this as well, and I was going to skip over it because I've been just going on and on and on, and I haven't really read any of the notes or the people that are joining us live here, but that is one of the last ones as well that I wanted to share, the other things that could affect your cash flow. And that is that what could happen is the value of your property. This is actually really interesting. And I've seen a lot of people talking about property taxes lately and complaining about it.
That time of year.
I have refrained. Even though I could debate the shit out of this because I understand how property taxes actually work. I just know that if I put my thoughts in there, my one positive thought or one rational thought amongst 100 other irrational and illogical people, it's not going to go very well. the torches and the pitchforks. They're going to call me a witch. So I'm not having it. But it's my show, so I'm going to say something really quickly. What people are complaining about is that their property taxes have gone up. There is a very simple formula that determines how much you pay in property taxes. What the city does is they go and they take a rough assessment of the value of your property every year, and they do that based off of sole comparables, and then they subtract the cost of a realtor, and they determine normally the value of your property is a little bit less, the assessment value of your property is a little bit less than what the actual value of your property is. Okay? So they determine what the value of your property is, and then they multiply that. They have a multiplier. They multiply that by the mill rate, which is the property tax rate. There's a municipal and a provincial. Okay? Now, when they say the property taxes go up, it's either that the municipal property tax rate has gone up or the provincial property tax rate has gone up. What they do is they combine that all together, and that determines how much you pay. But if the city says that we're increasing the property tax rate, the property taxes, by 3% or 5%, that's 5% of the current rate that they are charging. Not the total rate, but the current municipal rate. So if the current municipal rate is whatever, 0.005%, it will increase 3% of that. So whatever, 0.005, 0.0015. So it'll go up to 0.00515. That doesn't matter. But the point is that if they say it's going up 3%, it's not saying that they're going to charge you 3% more of the value of your property. Your $500,000 house isn't going to be an extra $1,500 more. It's saying that's based off of the rate, the existing rate. It will go up by 3%. I digress. Now, what they do is that new rate gets multiplied by the assessed value of your property. Not the actual value, but their appraised value of it. And that determines your yearly amount. So there's two ways it can go up. Either the city or the province increases the tax rate, which it doesn't really go up that much. Very minimally. I think ours went up by about $30 on a $500,000 property per month. And that was a pretty bad year because it went up 5.5%. It's a pretty big jump. 5.5% increased my property taxes, monthly property taxes on my $500,000 house by about $30. All these people talking about going up $300, $400 a month. I'm just like, I don't think you actually know how to do math. Or perhaps your property went up from $500,000 to $1.5 million. And if that's the case, why the fuck are you complaining?
You just made a lot of money.
You just made a lot of fucking money. Isn't that the whole reason why you invest in real estate, so that it goes up in value? And now you're complaining that they're taxing you more off of the value of your property, which is what they've been doing for decades? The rules didn't change. The value of your property did. You made money, and they tax you based on the value of your property. This is like simple stuff. So complaining about it now, if you look at it and you're like, my house is not worth that much.
Yeah, sometimes it's irrational.
Then go and you can file a complaint and then get it reassessed. Mm-hmm. And then they will go back and they'll check. It's not a big of a deal. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. But if the value, if your property tax went up so much that you no longer cash flow, which I think is ridiculous because this is never going to happen. Mm-hmm. I've seen so many people in the last couple of days being like, oh, now it doesn't cash flow. I'm like, how much cash flow did you have in the first place, bud? You did not set this up for success. But if it did, it came up and it fucking wiped you out and capsized you. That would mean that the value of your property went up so much that you can no longer operate this business and keep this thing afloat anymore, and you are forced to sell. But if you're forced to sell, the value of your property is significantly higher, so you're not going to lose any money. See what I mean? Going back to what I originally said, you're not going to lose money. So even property taxes going up, it would only go up so much if the value of your property went up and you were forced to sell. And if you were forced to sell because of that, you would still be profitable. So you're not going to lose money. This is what I mean, that like now that you understand what I'm saying, all the different scenarios that could happen that would force you to sell, force you to accept a loss, to realize a loss, are actually so incredibly improbable. And even if you were forced to sell, you probably won't lose money. But if you buy a shitty property, you overpay for it, you don't follow the 5% rule. You buy in a shitty fucking market that's not sustainable because you're just hoping and praying that it goes up in value, and it doesn't, and you're forced to sell, then yes, you could lose money. If you buy in a shitty market that can't hold, like you can't realistically hold for 20 years, and you don't build it out like a business that has strong cash flow, sufficient amount of cash flow that can weather the storms for 20 years, and you're in a situation where you have to make an impulsive, emotional decision, and you're forced to sell, then yeah, you can lose money. And that's why 99% of people lose money in real estate investing, is because they do all of those things. Mm-hmm. Isn't that fucking ridiculous? You understand this now. Please, for the love of God, come stand over here behind me and laugh. Please, because we are very lonely over here, shaking our heads laughing at everybody, because like, how do you, now that you understand this, you have to understand that, like, how does this happen? How do people not understand this?
But Wayne, I think what I like so much about this statement that you've just made, like just really showing how insanely hard it is to lose money, is that on the other side of that, if the same people who are trying really hard to lose money, or maybe didn't try very hard, but just didn't put any effort in, imagine they actually learned the fundamentals, and they learned the 5% rule, and they learned how to put all of these life rafts on their business. Imagine how much money they could make, though. Like on the flip side of that. Yeah. Like all these people who are just like winging it, like, meh, and then realizing like, oh, I fucked everything up and I still broke even, or I still, made a little bit of money. Mm-hmm. Imagine if they actually tried.
Well,
what are you wearing today? Have you tried trying?
I thought
it's pretty easy. The fundamentals are pretty simple.
Yeah.
They're pretty simple.
I had a conversation.
There's not much to them.
I had a conversation with my 11-year-old daughter. She asked me about the basics of real estate investing the other day. First time she's ever asked. She kind of understands it a little bit. You rent houses. Yeah, got it. But she's like, how does it all work? Because the math that she's doing right now in homeschooling is actually like the same math. And I said, sweetheart, what you don't realize is that you could, in theory, invest in real estate if you could get a mortgage. You could. If you had the money for it, you could do this. You could probably run our business. I said that there's most real estate investors don't understand the math that you are learning right now, that you're doing. Most real estate investors don't understand it. They went to school for it, they passed, but like they don't see that it's that simple. And she goes, really? And I said, yeah. And I explained it to her. I explained to her how return on investment works. I explained to her how cash flow works. She's like, that's just plus and minus. I'm like, yeah. And return on investment, that's just division. I'm like, yeah. They add it all up, they divide it. Wow. She goes, is that simple? I said, yeah. And I said, then it's percentages as well, which you haven't learned a whole lot about percentages yet, but otherwise, it's really simple. And then she said, what about the 5% rule? I said, addition and division. Really simple. I explained it to her. She goes, oh, that makes sense. My 11-year-old daughter can figure it out, right? The thing is that you had said something a second ago. He said that most people are just like winging it. Being like, whatever. They're not winging it. I don't think that people are that ignorant. I don't think that they're that dumb. What I think is that they're being misled. Mm. And there's a lot of misrepresentation and a lot of misleading in this industry. And that's why I said, like earlier, there's this rotation of 3 to 5 years. All these people come in with these flashy gimmicks and things like that. And people are like, that sounds really fucking cool. And if they could do it, I mean, they got the Lambo, then it must work. They're up on stage. They're 4 feet higher than me. They must be smart. If you want people to listen to you, go build a 4-foot stage. Hitler did it. That's it. You want someone to listen to you, go build a 4-foot stage. the amount of misleading in this industry is what leads us or led us to this point, and what continues to lead us to how people just keep doing these things. Because you're like, well, how could someone not understand this? Because they're being led in a different way with different teachings and education. And I think that what most people think is that real estate investing is a good investment.
Just
If
blanket.
you buy for long term, there's the point I'm trying to make. If you buy and you hold it for a long time, you will succeed. And I say that, but there's more. And I try and fill this in as much as possible. The reason why I'm always constantly over coaching on this podcast, I can say something and I'm like, okay, I said that, but I better explain these other 3 things. Otherwise, someone's going to go down that route just thinking that it's all okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you buy a property with the intention of keeping it for 20 years, it will help compared to like buying it for 1 year and hoping it to go up and sell it. But you have to buy the right property. And like 98 or 99%, I'm going to say, and let's use Canada, not just my market, but 99% of real estate in Canada does not work for rental properties. 99%.
The math.
The math doesn't work. It's not profitable and it's not sustainable. 99% of it doesn't work. That means that less than 1% of the total residential real estate, just talking residential here for a second, less than 1% of the total residential real estate will not work. You need to find that 1%. You need to learn how to identify it so that it operates as a good rental property business, that it's sustainable because it has a sufficient amount of cash flow that passes the 5% rule, and that it has strong potential for appreciation over the next 2 decades. That's what you have to find. It's a needle in a fucking haystack for most people because they choose not to learn. They choose not to ask questions. They choose not to be curious. So they just follow what one person said on Instagram or YouTube, and they said, hey, just buy this type of property. Just do this strategy. If you want to succeed in real estate, just buy multifamily. What multifamily? What market? Do the numbers work? What's the rent? What's the expenses? What capital expenditures are coming up in the next 10 years? You know what I mean? You have to ask more questions. There's so much more to it, right? You can't just, there's no one size fits all. There's no one liner that can just explain everything. There's a lot more. There's fundamentals that we teach every fucking day on this podcast and in our mentorship program. There's cash flow rules and there's systems. All of that put together is what enables me to be able to say, I will never lose money on a rental property. That enables our students in our mentorship program to say, I will never lose money on a rental property. But you have to do all of it. You can't just do one of them. You can't just listen to this one episode and then suddenly it's like, oh, okay, cool. As long as I, have cash flow, he says that I won't sink. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
Right? The book helps. I think that the book actually eliminates a lot of the potential fuck-ups. Mm-hmm. I've actually said this, that if you just read that book, which I regret throwing earlier, if you just read that book, it's going to eliminate like 75% of the things that could fuck you. There's still a few other things, systems in place that, like, if you don't put proper tenant screening systems in place, you don't put proper communication systems in place, you don't know how to properly evict tenants when you need to, you don't get the proper bookkeeping and taxes done, you don't get the right file systems, for goodness sake. That could be a killer right there. Also, you didn't buy it right, you didn't buy in the right market, all of those other things. You didn't sell it right, you refinanced too early, you over leveraged yourself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's lots of other ways you can fuck it up, but the 5% rule alleviates about 75% of them. So just following that alone, there's the best $20 investment that I just threw off the table that you could ever make. Just that alone. I used to gatekeep it in our $15,000 mentorship program. The reason why I released it was so that you can have it. Okay? So that right there. Less than 1% of real estate. Less than 1% of residential real estate works. Comparing that to all the other different strategies that are available in real estate investing now, all the different other types of avenues. The reason why we see so many people losing money is because they choose not to go with the long-term buy and hold tried and true strategy in a good market that passes the 5% rule, and they choose to go with other strategies that allow you to leverage more, to recycle your funds, to get fast cash, to grow faster, to scale, to be a man. Hustle, grind, culture, 10x. All this stuff sound familiar? Right? Value add multifamily, cottage resorts, developments, infill, short-term rentals, the BRRRR strategy, fix and flips, agreements for sale, and even rent to own as well. All have a higher potential of you losing money. They all come with additional risk. Now, do I love all those strategies? Yes. But you have to take calculated risks. You have to have the right systems in place in order to cover your ass. But if you just think that one strategy is going to be the one size fits all, this is the one that's, and this, I'm going to make lots of money and I'm not going to have any risk, you're going to find out real quickly the definition of risk. Mm-hmm. You're going to find out real quick just how hard you can get fucked. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just saying that. I've seen it over and over and over and over. Hundreds, if not thousands of people. Thousands. I have names. I can name names, but I can't name the names on the show. I have so many names that you could look up. There's so many names of people that thought they were smart, that they had it all figured out, that are gone, that have either lost their money or more likely other people's money, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds. It's in the hundreds. I'm not exaggerating. Because they wanted it faster. They wanted it quicker. They wanted to scale 10x, brah.
They wanted it flashier.
They wanted it they wanted to feel cool. Mm-hmm. They saw everybody dancing, so they wanted to dance too. They're like, if they're dancing, I want to dance. This isn't fun. They want it to be fun. They want to feel like somebody. They want to prove something to somebody. Oh my God, I'm going to show you, Dad. I don't know who you're trying to prove it to, but like all you're proving is that you're ignorant and you're willing to lose your money. My 11-year-old daughter could win this debate because she understands it. And I want you guys, I want you guys to win. I have nothing to fucking gain from this. I'm giving you this for free. My mentorship program, our mentorship program, is for exclusive access to us. If you want me at any hour of the day, except for when I'm sleeping, that's what the mentorship program for. It comes with all the courses and everything else as well, right? But the fundamentals, we teach, if you listen to this podcast every day, 7 a.m., you'll learn all the fundamentals. It'll take you a little bit longer to piece together. Mentorship program, you'll figure it out in 3 months, but you can piece it all together. It's all here. We give it all away for free. The book is $20. Just covers like the shipping and the cost to put it all together. Everything you need is all here. Why aren't more people listening? What am I doing wrong? Am I wearing too many clothes? Am I not Instagram hot enough for you? Am I not on enough beaches in Belize and creating resorts to get your attention? Should I change my handle to Investor Boy Wayne? What do I got to do? What do I got to do to get people to listen? Because I'm literally showing you the math. You know what the funny thing is that the people that actually are open and receptive and willing to listen, the intellectual people that actually understand what I'm saying, they actually listen to our show.
Yeah.
And that's the people who I get messages from. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you get it. But the people who want to dance and want to be part of something and want to be a part of a community and they want to be noticed are the ones that fail. Because I think that personally, I think that they're in it for all the wrong reasons.
Almost like they're looking for an experience.
Yeah. I recommend jumping out of a plane.
Get your thrills.
Get your thrills somewhere else. But in here, what we're trying to do is we're trying to take the little bit of resources and money that we have and grow it over time so that we have more in the future. We're taking what we have and trying to make it grow. We are fertilizing it. We are watering it so that later, that's what investing is. I don't know what the definition in Oxford Dictionary is of investing, but it's to take something and to make it grow bigger over time, right? That's the whole purpose. We're not here to make friends. We're not here to be a part of a party and dance at conferences. We're here to take what little we have to make it bigger for the future so that we can leverage that in the future for when we're going to need it when we're older, or something to leave behind for our future generations. That's investing. Why aren't people doing it safe? Why aren't people doing the tried and true? Why are they fucking it up by trying to speed it up? Why aren't people patient? I did not lose $1 million. I'm sorry for those of you guys that made it through the whole 1 hour and 10 minutes. I did not lose $1 million. I didn't. I did not lose $1 million of my money. I did not lose $1 million of anybody else's money. And I never will, because I am here to take the little bit of resources that we started with and to grow it as much as possible without impeding on my lifestyle. And by doing that, and I would say a relatively short amount of time, which is 10 to 15 years, we have developed a new lifestyle that we have leveraged. We were able to leverage it and create a new lifestyle, a new life with more freedom. And we've provided more freedom to our partners. We've provided more freedom to our family, all because we did it low and slow. We did it vanilla. We didn't focus on trying to impress people. I buy properties that are not impressive. Most of our properties, you don't see pictures of them for two reasons. One, I don't want people having the addresses. And two, because they're not sexy. That basement suite renovation that we did recently, Gabby is like, I don't know if I really want to post any pictures of it. It's not that. We just freshened it up.
Yeah.
It's not a great before and after. It's not. A lot of the
It's
stuff.
not a staged flip.
It's just what we do is not sexy. The purpose is not to impress people. The purpose is to get great returns.
Make money.
And I've said this so many times, and I mean it. I have the best returns in Canada. And I can say that confidently. I can. And I would encourage anybody to come and try and compare. I want people to focus on the numbers. I want people to focus on the returns and not on buying properties, not on collecting properties. The purpose, I'll just end with this. The reason why we got in here in the first place was to make money and to grow what little we have into more. That's it, right? Sorry for everybody that thought we lost.
I mean, screw you. Those of you who are hoping for our demise.
Yeah. But anyways, that wraps up today's show. If you guys have any more questions, or maybe there's, I'm well over an hour now. I'm into almost an hour and 15 minutes. But if there was something that I missed, or if there was something that I didn't explain thoroughly enough, I would love to clarify. I would love to clear it up for you. All you got to do is just join us tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time on YouTube, or you can send us an email to info@reimorningshow.com. And we will clear anything up for you or answer any questions on this or any other questions you have about real estate investing. I mean, anything that we can do in order to give you the confidence and the clarity to be able to go out and get yours and to take action. That's why we're here. We hope you guys have an awesome day. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Want to be coached personally by Wayne and Gabby? Then you should join the Real Estate Investing Masters Mentorship Program. Details are in the show notes to get started.